Hola chicas. Yes, I am drinking out of my Costco water bottle. You guys, I love this water from Costco. It is so good. I can literally drink like 5 of these a day. It's so good. Really quick before we start with the eyeshadow tutorial, my settings, okay? I've been playing around with my camera. So I have the Canon 80D EOS and I've had this for years. It's been so good to me. Like I love her so much, but I've never played with the settings. When I bought it, I literally just started recording with the settings that the camera came with. So hopefully you guys like this. And I hope that when I bring you guys in closer, the settings are good. But let me know down below, please, if you guys like this quality. I can change it back to what I used to have it, but I like it. I mean, on my monitor here, it looks great. So today, you guys, I'm gonna be doing a eyeshadow tutorial, and I just wanted to sit here, chit chat, not chit chat too much, but just, you know, focus on the eyeshadow tutorial and do a step-by-step, like literally an educational tutorial today, but also creating a really beautiful look. If you want to follow along today, what you're going to need is obviously your makeup brushes, an eyeshadow primer. You guys know that I use the Urban Decay Eden primer. She's my baby, she's my favorite. But if you don't have that primer, it's totally okay. You can also use Tarte Shape Tape Concealer is really good, and the Too Faced Multi-Sculpting Concealer is also a really good one that I usually use for creating eyeshadows, or to have it as an eyeshadow base. For the palettes, I do have a few because I don't have a particular palette that has browns and pinks all in one. So I will have a few, but everything that I do use today will be listed down below for you guys. All right, so como les dije, chicas, yo uso the Urban Decay Eden primer. This is just a really good eyeshadow primer. I feel like my eyeshadows truly last a very long time every time I use this. I was low-key freaking out the other day because, or not the other day, but like a few months ago, I went to my Sephora that I usually always go to and they didn't have any more. And I was like, okay, I'll just go to Ulta. I went to Ulta, they didn't have them anymore. And I was like, oh my God, please do not tell me they just discontinued this because I would literally die. I've used the P. Louise eyeshadow primer. It's still a good one. If you have that one, it's good. I just always come back to this one. I just love how thick it is. And I love how my eyeshadows just pop. They don't crease and they literally last me all day. So you guys can see that's where I usually apply it. And then I go in with this really skinny brush. So this is what I personally love to use. You guys see how flat that is? I love using a brush this flat because it really helps me to clean under my eyebrows. And it's just very precise. This is from Jaw Cosmetics CC3. Oh my God, I used to love her content. I haven't seen her content in a while, to be honest. On Instagram, she is the queen of like cut creases, you guys. Every time I saw that she would post, I was always so inspired. If I can find her Instagram, I'll link it down below for you guys. But I think she stopped selling cosmetics. And I'm gonna start to carve out my eyebrow all the way towards the outer corner by the tail. And then next, we're just gonna fill it all in, and you can apply as much as you like. I like to go into a really good amount. I don't like to see any skin peeking through. And then I'm just gonna go into something like this, a nice fluffy brush. This is from HUDA Beauty. And then I'm just going to buff this. And for my lid, I like to just tap like this. But for the outer corner, I do go back and forth motion just to blend this out because it dries down pretty fast. So I always start off with a bronzer. This is optional, but you can also use like a light brown shade from any palette that you have. But because I am gonna be more bronzier for today's makeup look, I love to use a bronzer like this in the crease. I do like to use a very fluffy brush. So I'm gonna go into the Morphe M441. So I'm gonna go right here in the inner corner, and then we're gonna take it towards the middle. We're gonna go towards the outer corner like this. This palette, you guys, has been my favorite for so many years, and it's from Artist Couture. This is the Supreme Nudes Matte Master Palette. It is so freaking good. Low-key, I kind of like this a little bit more than I do the Mario one, Master Mattes palette. I know, crazy, right? I just really love the browns and nude. You can create so many looks with this palette. So I'm gonna go into Transit, which of course you can tell it's one of my favorites, and that is gonna go in our crease. We're still gonna use the same Morphe M441 brush, and like I said, we're just gonna move it right here in the crease. I just want to deepen it up a little bit, and you want to apply it like in the crease, just a little bit below the bronzer. You can still see the bronzer right there, but you can always go back to the bronzer and reapply it, and it'll be really easy to blend together. Using a fluffy brush like this is key to having a smooth base, especially if you're using a transition shade. For a more precise look, I definitely recommend going to something something smaller, which we're gonna do next, but I always start off with something very fluffy. Now, to just warm it up just a tad bit more in the crease, I wanna go into the shade called Exquisite. I'm gonna switch my brush. So instead of going into the Morphe M441, as you guys can see, it is a lot fluffier. And then this is the Morphe M433. So it's a little bit slimmer, not as puffy and as big, because we are wanting to apply this darker brown shade very precisely in the crease, and we don't want to take it up higher than the other two shades that we applied. I applied the eyeshadow, as you guys can see, just on the tip of the brush, and then this is gonna go in like right here. And I actually don't want to take it all the way towards the inner corner of the eye. I'm gonna leave that bare. So it's just gonna go outwards like this. So you guys can see right away that this side looks a lot warmer than this side, and that's exactly what we want. Just a hint of brown. I'm gonna go back into the Morphe M441 brush with absolutely no product. I'm gonna go ahead and just go right on top of that brown that we applied, just to smooth it out a little bit more. You can definitely go in and grab more color if you like, but I just wanna smooth this out. So I don't want to add any more product. And again, when it comes to your eyeshadows, you always want to be very light-handed. You don't want to be super rough. First of all, you know, this is the most sensitive part of our entire body, so you want to be very gentle with your eyelids. Like, I'm literally applying super light pressure. I am going to go into my MAC Blacktrack Pro Longwear, I was going to say concealer, gel liner. So this is super pigmented, okay? And I'm going to create a nice wing. And I'm gonna go a little bit more exageradamente than I normally would. You guys can totally follow what I'm doing, or you can make it as thin as you want. But I do kind of want this to be very like smoky. So I'm gonna use this brush from MAC. This is the I want to say it's the 286 or 266. I don't remember if they still actually sell this brush. Do you guys know if MAC still is selling these particular brushes? I bought it at an actual MAC store in person years ago when I used to live in Oregon. So I love it to create a wing liner because it is so flat and skinny. You guys see that? It just creates the perfect wing. So what I'm gonna do is start from right here, and it's so creamy, you guys, that it glides on really well on the skin. We're gonna go up and then fill in the rest, and then we're gonna smoke this out here in just a second before it dries. Like, I literally want it like that. It looks crazy, but you guys can apply as much as you want. Now, the thing here is that we're not gonna attach it all the way towards the end. We are literally gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna use this P. Louise number 114 brush. Está super chiquito like this, but it's still a little fluffy, and we're just gonna blend this out like that. So you guys can see how it's blending out. And you kind of want to blend it like at an angle. So you're going this way. We will go back in with some brown eyeshadow in just a second. You guys see how that's blending out? And again, you want to be very light when it comes to this, okay? Like, you want to lightly blend out that black towards the outer corner, just like that. Okay, do you guys remember the first eyeshadow that we applied, which was this one? Well, not the first one, but the second one. So we're gonna go back into that using the Morphe M441 brush, that fluffy brush, and we're gonna go in and grab some product. And then what I like to do is just slightly apply it right here. And then we're just gonna buff this out. I want the black to still pop and peek through, but I also want this look to be more like brown. Now I wanna apply like a brown right on top of that and kind of smooth it out so that way it looks a little bit more like blended and nothing too harsh. I'm gonna go into the shade called Create, and I'm using my Morphe M433 brush. What I'm gonna do, chicas, is I'm pretty much going to apply it like right on top of the black. And we'll go back in with some black just to like touch it up again. But right now we just wanna focus on the blur. We wanna focus on the blur. Back to that P. Louise pencil brush is what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna go into Renegade from the Huda Beauty Pretty Grunge palette, and we're just gonna touch up the black just a little bit, but we're not gonna go all the way up. Does that make sense? Like, we're only gonna keep it, like if we're creating like a baby wing, we're gonna keep it below, very close to the lash line. And then gonna go back into the Morphe M433 with no product. We're just gonna buff this out. so it looks nice and smooth. So I am gonna go back into the Urban Decay Eden Primer, and we're gonna start to cut the crease. Pretty much we already have that placement. So I'm gonna grab that flat brush again that I used at the beginning, and I'm only gonna carve out right here. Literally just this little section, and that's it. That brush that we used at the beginning just to blend out the inner corner, and then we're just gonna tap the base. And I'm gonna go back into that Morphe M433, and we're gonna pick up a little bit more of Transcend, and we're just gonna apply it right here, and then apply it like that. Lightly, very lightly. And you only wanna apply just a little bit, so that way you can just blend it into the eyeshadow primer. So for the pink, for all over the lid, chicas, I'm gonna go into this palette from Morphe. This is the Rose Frequency palette, and we're gonna go into this color right up here. It's a really nice, like, light pinky shade, and it's also matte. I am gonna go into something more shimmery on top, but for the base, that's the color I wanna grab. Now, I am using this Morphe brush. I wanna say it's the M167. It is possibly a super old brush, but I've also had this for many years. And I love to pack, I call it the packer, and I love to pack my eyeshadows with this brush because it's flat and it's perfect. What we're gonna do is literally apply this like that, taking it all the way towards the inner corner, and then we're gonna bring it all the way out this way. And again, we will grab the Morphe M441 again just to dust off the outer corner. It might look very nude to you guys because it looks kind of nude on the monitor, but in person it's like a nice light baby pinky shade. And like I said, we're gonna go grab that brush again with no product, and we're just going to buff this out like that. Okay, so I was just experimenting, and I love like the sparkle on just the pink part. So I'm going into NARS palette. This is their Afterglow Tempting palette. Like, look how pretty all these shimmers are. I'm gonna go in a mixture of this one, this one mixed with this shade right here. And so what I'm pretty much doing, chicas, is using this brush from Morphe. This is the M332, because I don't want it to be super precise, like the shimmer. Well, like you do, but not really. I want it to be more like fairy dust versus than like super shiny. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? With no product, I'm gonna go over the other. And it's okay if you have a little bit of dust or sparkles on the outer portion of the eye. I just want it to be mostly like on the main lid. Okay, do you guys remember the MAC brush? I cleaned it off. We're gonna go back into that Huda Beauty palette and take that black shade Renegade, and I am going to tap that eyeshadow right here, just connect it towards the outer corner. So for lashes, chicas, I don't know what brand these are because I found them in this little cajita that I have. Don't judge me, okay? So all my favorite lashes that I like, I always put them like in a small little box like this. So I have no idea which lashes these are, but they are a cat eye style. So they pretty much go from short to long. A cat eye strip lash is always going to help lift up the eye and make it look more like pulled back and more catty, versus if you want your eyes to appear larger or bigger, I would go with more of an open eye lash. So that pretty much is kind of like this, where all the long lengths are right in the middle. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup, and then I will come back to finish the eyes with you. All right, girls, so I'm gonna go into this liner from BISSU. I love BISSU Cosmetics in the shade Tono 02, I believe. Tono 01. I always buy these eyeliners from Mexico. Every time I go, like, I seriously stock up. They're just so pigmented, so black, so cheap. So this is gonna go in the waterline. Like, you guys see that? Look how pigmented that is. And I'm also gonna bring it towards the bottom lash line. And we want this to look very smoky. Optional. Okay, you guys can go into black, you can go into nude, you can also do brown if you like, but I want it very smoky. So I'm gonna go into this very tiny brush. Let me just clean it off. This is from Beauty Creations. It's a very small, tiny brush once my camera focuses. And then with no product, I'm gonna blend out the black liner And then we will go into brown and black to set it. So you guys can see that it's really dark, and it also just makes the eye look more pulled back and just more smoky and sexy. It's so cool to see how like eyeliner can really make a huge difference. Now, if you do want this to look more open, I definitely recommend to go in with a nude. That's really gonna help open the eye more. So I'm gonna go back into that Huda Beauty palette, and I'm gonna grab that black shadow, and what we're gonna do is just set that black. So I'm gonna go back into that palette that we used, and I'm gonna use this color right here. Using a pencil brush that we used to blend out the black, remember? We're gonna go underneath here and just blend out that black. Going back to this palette, chicas, I'm gonna grab that pinky shade again, and we're just gonna touch up the inner corner. And then for mascara, I'm gonna go into this one from EXO Cosmetics. I love this mascara so much, chicas. If you live in Arizona or just somewhere really hot, this is not gonna budge. This mascara will literally stay on forever. It does not flake, it doesn't transfer. I think Yvette did such a great job with this mascara. I rave about it so much, but because I genuinely really do love it, and I believe it's only $12. All right, chicas, and that is it for the eyes. I am gonna go ahead and just finish the rest of my makeup and then go do my hair because my hair looks so crazy right now. And then I'll slap on my lip combo, and then I'll be right back to finish this video. So give me a second while I get my life together. All right, girls, so that is it for today's video. Sorry for my hair. There's like crazy flyaways. I try to like tame them down, but it's not working, so just ignore that. But I hope you guys learned some tips, some tricks regarding this eyeshadow look. Of course, there's so many different ways that you can transform this eyeshadow. You can tone down the glitter, the brown, the black, you know. You could also change this to something more brown, more wearable. But this makeup look, I would definitely wear it for like un evento, like if I was a madrina, or if it was my baby shower, or if it was my wedding. I love educational videos, so if you guys love educational videos too, please give this video a thumbs up so that way I know. Comment down below and let me know what other makeup tips you guys want to learn or what I can show you guys también. If you don't follow me on social media, I literally post there daily, so follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and of course subscribe to this channel. I love you so much. Thank you for the constant love and support, and I will see you guys in my next video. Besitos, las amo. Bye.